Guys, I'm Virginia, and my pronouns of reference are she, her, and hers. I put my mask on today to remind all of you to mask up Iowa. We can't wait for you to come to campus, and we feel like there's no better way than to get the ball rolling with all of us using face coverings than to provide you with that visual reminder. As I mentioned, I'm Virginia Ibrahim Olin. My pronouns of reference are she, her, and hers. And today we're going to be talking about preparing to live on campus. Before we jump in, what I'd like to do is provide you all with a few COVID-19 updates. One was most certainly that we will be expecting everyone to wear face coverings while they are in the residence halls. That might be in the form of a mask, of a gaiter that you pull up, a face shield. And there are a number of steps that we have been taking in housing and dining to get ready for your arrival. We have been busy cleaning and sanitizing the residence halls, updating our dining operations, coordinating with our partners in student health, and above all, adhering to the ever-evolving guidelines provided to us by the Iowa Department of Public Health and the Centers for Disease Control. There are some great resources available to you on campus, and those can be found at coronavirus.uiowa.edu. And that outlines our entire fall 2020 plan and will continuously be updated with more information about what's going on throughout campus and the residence halls. As many of you are aware, we are in room selection season right now. It's been a busy week and it will continue to be. I'd like to provide you with a brief overview of what the timeline is. Just last week, Thursday, right before the holiday, we had a number of students select their rooms in a living learning community. And then this week, we have had students who are selecting rooms in new student housing. It has been a very busy time, and it has been a nice opportunity for us to talk with you all as we know you're excited about picking a room on campus in one of our residence halls. The housing portal will remain open until noon on Tuesday, July 14th. At that point, we're going to close it down so that way we can email you all your room contracts on July 16th, and then those will become legally binding on July 23rd. Now, I want to make sure that you all are aware, we are paying very close attention and understand that decisions related to classes being held online have not been made yet. And so if you are a Hawkeye who finds out that the majority of your courses will be online and you decide for personal reasons that it makes more sense for you to stay home, that's not a concern for us. What we'd like you to do is reach out to us and we'll work with you one-on-one if all of your courses happen to be online. Now, I know that our colleagues in the registrar's office are working very hard to ensure that all new Hawkeyes have at least one course in common so you can meet face-to-face with your fellow Hawkeyes. But again, the choice to come to campus this fall is a personal one based on your own experience. And so if your plans are changing, everyone can be released from their housing contract up until their contract binding date. And then if you have unique circumstances, please reach out to us after that, and we'd be happy to discuss your circumstances with you. I want to share a couple of tips for you before you select your room, if you have not done that already. Number one is that you can log into the housing application today. We are asking you to agree to the updated terms and conditions. Specifically, we want you to review the health and safety measures that are being taken related to COVID-19. And then we'd like you to share your fall plans. The university announced that we will be going to virtual instruction after the fall break or Thanksgiving holiday. And during that period, university housing and dining will be open. So if you have decided to go home or if you need to stay on campus, you don't have to decide that today. You can let us know. In October, we'll be asking students what their plans are closer to that virtual instruction period. But we're curious about what you're thinking about right now. We have a number of resources available for you online, including a quick 7-minute room selection video that walks you through the process step by step and click by click. We have some frequently asked questions on our housing assignments page. And then we also encourage you to explore multiple options. We want all Hawkeyes to be comfortable living in any one of our residence halls, and we typically recommend that folks have between, 6 and 7 halls in their pocket when it comes down to their room selection time. So room selection will occur in the order in which a housing application was received. As I mentioned earlier, students who join a living learning community will only pick a room in that LLC. And that's because part of the experience is living on a floor together. And so we have space designated for you. And you're also going to potentially be taking a course in common with everyone else that you're living with. We want to make sure that you know that the system is live. And so if a building is full, it will not appear for you as an option during your room selection period. Now, if you are selecting a room as an individual, you simply log in during your room selection time. You can view the profiles of potential roommates and then select a room that you think would best work for you. If you decide later that you'd like to change your room, you can do so, but you have to complete a few required steps before you get to the room change pages. And if you're a Hawkeye who is going to be selecting a room with a roommate pair, the first instruction that we want to convey to you is to make sure that you find a room with 2 spaces available. We can only fit, two people in a room, and unfortunately we've had a handful of Hawkeyes who have been trying to squeeze a roommate pair into only one spot, and that's not going to work so well. The first roommate who has officially, who was requested may pick a room on behalf of the pair. It is important to note, though, that once a room has been selected, roommates cannot change rooms as a pair. They will need to wait until the second Hawkeye's room selection time slot and independently change into a room with 2 spaces. And this is because we have already given you or your roommate the opportunity to skip the line in order for the 2 of you to select your initial room. And so we're not going to give you the option to continue to skip the line and shop around as a roommate pair. Now, if you and your roommate didn't meet the deadline back in May to formally request one another, the 2 of you may each independently select into the same room. You'll just need to coordinate during the later person's room selection time slot period. Now, after selecting your room, we want to make sure that you don't forget your renter's insurance confirmation. We have an excellent relationship with a company called GradGuard, and they offer insurance specifically for college students that live in the residence halls. The university has coverage over our buildings and over our furniture, but it does not provide coverage over your student belongings. And in the unfortunate event that a football may come in contact with a fire sprinkler, your belongings would be damaged, and we wanted to make sure that you've got a way to replace them. You are not required to work with GradGuard, and so if your family has renter's insurance or coverage through their homeowner's insurance, that's great. We just want to make sure you know about their options. Second, we have a statement of inclusive communities that my colleague Becky is going to talk with you about later, and we would like you to review that so that way you understand that our residence halls are home to all Hawkeyes and everyone is welcome to live with us. The third thing that you will do after you've picked your room is you'll select your meal plan. You'll have the option between the gold and the black plan. And then if you happen to select a room in Mayflower Hall and are provided with a university supplied kitchen, then you'd also have a third option of the Hawkeye plan. You can pick whichever option works best for you at that time. The last option that we are providing you with on the online application period is the chance to indicate your loft configuration. Most of our beds come lofted. However, we know that sometimes you might want that bed lowered or raised. And by requesting your selection now, our staff can enter the room and have your space all set up for you before you arrive on campus. We do need to know this information by next Tuesday. So think a little bit about whether you want your bed up high or down low, and then just log in online to click. We have photos in the housing application to help you understand how high the various configurations may be. So now I'd like to turn it over to my colleague Becky, who's going to talk with you a bit about move-in.
Hi everyone, my name is Becky. I work in residence education, which is part of University Housing and Dining. I use she, her, hers as my pronouns, and I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about move-in. I will say that we're going to give you some bare minimum details today, as we'll have more plans shared with you all later in July. So first we're going to discuss the move-in dates, which will be for first year students will be Monday, August 17th through Friday, August 21st. In partnership with our colleagues in orientation services to plan for the On Iowa events, we're asking that all students move in by 12 o'clock noon on Friday, August 21st. Early move-in will also be available for those of you that need to arrive earlier than Monday, August 17th, and you can move in on either August 15th or August 16th, and there will be a $35 early move-in fee. So next we're going to talk about some brief logistics about how to move in. And so later on in July, you all will need to come back into the housing portal and you will select a 1 hour time on a specific date of move-in. The dates of August 15th through August 21st will be available all at the same time. And so you'll sign up for both early move-in or a traditional move-in time on that same sign-up sheet. Students, as you're planning to arrive to campus, you can bring up to 2 guests to help you with the move-in process. And so something we'll talk about later on today is about how to plan to say your goodbye, because not everyone that you might want to say goodbye to will be able to come with you to move in. We will be requiring face coverings during the move-in process, as well as through all of the residence hall spaces throughout the rest of the year. We also will be making social distancing a priority. And so we'll have lots of signage that we'll be asking you to follow that will include information about which doors are exits and entrances, the capacity for elevators, and where to stand, as well as some other information. More information will be coming to you all soon by email, and we also will have some more webinars throughout the summer to help you prepare for move-in, including some information about where to park and other logistic information that you may have. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about some information about how to prepare for move-in, including what's in your room and what we recommend that you pack. Some of this information might be a repeat if you attended our other sessions, so I'll be moving a little bit more quickly through it. First up, I'm going to cover what is in your room. And so the first thing is that your bed is a twin extra long bed. So make sure you're purchasing the proper linens for that bed. We will provide you a dresser, a desk and chair, window coverings, which is curtains. Recycling containers and trash cans will be available in your room, and then you'll bring those items out to either the dumpster or the trash room on the floor. You do have access to Wi-Fi, as well as the ability to hook up to cable as well as Ethernet in the room. So some items that you might want to consider bringing with you. So consider the clothing that you'll need for the time of year, especially if you live close to the Iowa City area. You might be able to switch out your clothing throughout your time on campus. We recommend that you get a shower caddy for the bathroom as well as shower shoes, as most of you will have to leave your room in order to use the restrooms. We also, again, recommend bedding. Again, those will be extra long twin. Please bring cleaning supplies with you. Our custodial staff is amazing and great and will clean all of the common spaces throughout the halls, but you will be responsible for cleaning your own room. This is also the same for those of you that will have a bathroom if you're living in a suite style room. So please make sure you bring those appropriate cleaning supplies. We also recommend that you bring a first aid kit and a thermometer, laundry supplies, your face covering. You will receive some face coverings when you move into campus as well. And then also important documents such as your health and renter's insurance, and then also proof of employment eligibility. On our website, we have a very long list of appliances that you can bring with you to move in and live in the residence halls, but we're going to highlight today some of the most popular ones. Most students choose to bring a microwave and a mini fridge. You also may bring a toaster if you would like. If coffee is important to you, you can have a Keurig or a coffee maker. You also can have items such as a crock pot and rice cooker. You also can bring anything that you need to help style your hair. And then also, while we do not allow candles in the residence halls, you can have an electric wax melter. And then some of you will have carpet in your room, so we also recommend considering to bring a small vacuum with you. There also is on our website a long list of things that are not allowed in the residence halls. First up, all of our residence halls are substance-free. So what this means is you cannot have alcohol or alcohol containers in our residence hall spaces, even if you are 21 years of age or older. We also do not allow drugs or drug paraphernalia. And then we also limit items from the residence halls that could be a potential fire hazard. So that would include candles, incense, toaster ovens. However, if you've chosen to live in Mayflower, you can have a toaster oven if you are interested because you have a kitchen in your room. We also do not allow appliances such as an air fryer, pizza pizzazz, grills, or a hot plate. Halogen lamps are also considered a fire hazard, so we ask that you do not have those in your room. You cannot have a pet unless you have a family fish that you're very attached to. You can definitely bring your fish with you to campus. And then while you can store tobacco and vape pens and e-cigarettes, you cannot use them in the residence halls. We would like to highlight a couple fundraisers that our student organizations have for you all. We have some options for you to rent or purchase items. The first up is you can rent a micro chill. So a micro chill is a microwave, freezer, refrigerator combo. There's different size and options available. We partner with a company called College Products. And you also can have it be billed to both you and your roommate. And then the great thing about this is I will place it into your room before you arrive to campus. And at the end of the year, you will return it. And therefore you don't have to think about how to store a micro chill throughout the summer. Then we also have 2 purchase programs. So the first one is you can also buy linen. So we partner with a company called OCM, and they have full bedding sets that you can either have shipped to your home or shipped to your residence hall. And then we also have a futon purchase program where you can, again, purchase a futon and then it'll be placed in your room prior to arrival to campus. So this is a great option if you plan on keeping your bed in the high loft configuration, as you'll be able to fit a futon underneath that loft. Next, I'm going to highlight some information about life in the residence halls. So the first thing is that we're going to ask that, as Virginia mentioned, you'll be accepting our inclusive community statement, and all of our residence hall floors will have this statement on there. We believe that all people that are in the residence halls, whether you're living with us, visiting us, or working with us, that we all contribute to creating an inclusive community. It is a community responsibility to make our communities inclusive. And so an inclusive community to us is one where everybody has their identities valued and recognized. People can be themselves. We can learn from our mistakes, and we're open to have others tell us about our mistakes, and that we will work together to create an inclusive community. And so there'll be several things that we'll talk to you all about your first couple of weeks living with us to help highlight what we expect from you for inclusive communities. Next, we're going to talk to you all about some great things we recommend to talk about with your roommate now. And so first up, we just recommend that you get to know them. Also spend some time talking about who is going to bring what. Also, when do you plan on moving in? Because students will be choosing their move-in dates and times, you'll want to coordinate with each other about when you plan to move in. And if you want to plan to wait until you're both here before you set up the room, or what you would like to do. Also, we would like for you to discuss with each other about how many guests will be with you. So if you're both bringing 2, are you comfortable if you move in at the same time that you could have up to 6 people in your room? Because again, we would like you all to social distance as much as possible. So maybe you can coordinate your times to allow for that. And then also to start talking to each other about how you're feeling, what you're excited about, what you're nervous about, because your roommate will be a great person to be in your support team. And so we recommend that you have those conversations now. And then also at the beginning of the year, all of the roommate pairs will work with their resident assistant, or RA, to complete a roommate agreement. And some topics that we'll have you all talk about is, how cold do you want the room? When do you want to sleep? Can you study while the other person's sleeping? Can you leave a light on? Do you fall asleep with the TV? But also some more serious topics as well, such as, what do you expect from each other when it comes to precautions for COVID-19? How will you address conflict with each other? And then how will you make your room a home? And then finally, some other pieces to know. When you move in, you'll receive a room key. Your room key will open up your room as well as your mailbox. And then also your student ID will be turned on to be your building access Prox card. And so whenever you're out of the residence halls, we recommend that you always bring your keys and Prox card with you, or student ID, and you should always lock your door when you're leaving your room. You also will be able to get packages and mail from the front desk. Every residence hall has a front desk. Again, to echo Virginia from what she mentioned earlier, we highly recommend renter's insurance. And then also please familiarize yourself with the policies in the residence halls, which we'll also cover with you during a welcome meeting when you move in. Next up, I think I'm going to pass it on to Matt.
Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties. Can Bob or Virginia step in, please?
Totally gotcha. We understand hiccups happen. It's one of the joys of working from home, and we hope that you all can understand. But if this tells you anything, it's that we've got a great team of folks here at Housing and Dining that are always willing to step in. There's a number of reasons why we wanted to talk with you all briefly about the benefits of working on campus. University Housing and Dining and the Division of Student Life is one of the largest employers that we have. And we know within some research here on campus that when students work with us, they receive a number of really great benefits. Safety and security, first and foremost. It's easy to walk downstairs and go to your job. We also have schedules that are built around your class schedules. From our perspective, you are a student first and an employee second. And so as a result, it is our responsibility to help you be as successful as possible when you're working for us in the halls. You have an opportunity to meet great people and start to develop that Hawkeye community. You will meet some lifelong friends when you work on campus, and you will develop some skills that will prepare you for life post-graduation. I had a very unique opportunity to travel to China and meet some former Hawkeyes there. And one had shared with us that it was because of his job working on campus in one of the marketplaces that he actually got his first full-time job. And he asked if he came back to Iowa to study for his PhD, if he could work for us again, because he had such a great time. And so I think that speaks volumes when someone halfway across the world values their time working on campus. We also know that when you work on campus, you tend to have a higher GPA and you progress towards your degree even faster. And that's usually related to the strong time management skills and the relationships and the caring environment that you work in. Additionally, we offer competitive wages. The minimum wage here in the area is $9.25 an hour, and within dining, our starting wage is $9.50 for students. So some of the opportunities that you have, as I mentioned earlier, we're the largest employer of students across campus. There are a variety of jobs within the Division of Student Life and throughout University Housing and Dining. You could choose to be a desk clerk if you love to chat it up with folks and want to help us sort all our thousands of mail packages to students. And then within dining, there are some great chances for you to work in one of our retail operations with Bob. You could work in our marketplace with Matt for our catering team. If you love the British baking show, we have a bakery here on campus and you could delve in and put your skills to work. We also have a cold food prep kitchen and we have a delivery service. If you've got your CDL and want to put it to work, we are happy to have you help deliver food across campus. So finding a job with us is really easy. On our housing and dining website, you just click on the links that say work for us. It's just that simple. You'll type in a couple of pieces and learn more. If you are interested in campus-wide positions, then we'll encourage you to go to the central HR spot, and it's /careers/student employment. So now what we'd like to do is transition to some of our most frequently asked questions that we know that some of you do. And this first one is actually related to room accommodation related to a disability. Many of you can see one of my colleagues behind the scenes helping answer questions, and her name is Brianne. She actually happens to be the staff member who will work one-on-one with students who may have either a physical or a psychological disability with their residence hall assignment. And so to start the process, you can look on our website and you could just send us a quick email with your name and ID number and a brief bit about your circumstances, and we'll shoot you all the paperwork that needs to get completed. And one of the other questions that we get regularly is, can I change my meal plan later? And yes, you absolutely may. You might be selecting your meal plan right now, but then you get on campus and you understand your schedule a little bit more. And so meal plans will reopen to be changed starting on August 10th. And you have until September 4th to make changes to your meal plan. And then in the spring semester, once you're back on campus, if you decide, you know, I had the black plan for fall semester, but for spring, I'd really like the gold plan, that's totally cool too. We'll give you a couple weeks within the spring semester to update your meal plan. On a very related note, if you are a student in need of a dietary accommodation, we most certainly can help you. We encourage you to connect with our colleague Laura Croto. She's a registered dietitian, and she helps those who may have celiac disease, food allergies, intolerances. You can also connect with the managers of the marketplace that you'll eat at most frequently. That was my colleague Matt, who you saw online just a minute ago. He works at one of them. All the folks are willing to sit down and talk with you, and family members, if you're coming to visit and happen to have a dietary need, we've got great signage in our marketplaces as you're using one of those guest meals your students have. And you can always ask a staff member and say, hey, is there something in this? Because we label everything with the top 8 allergens, or if something may be included in it. So bottom line, we're more than happy to accommodate your dining needs. All right, Becky, this is a question for you.
Yeah, so often we get the questions about, do you have to bring a futon, or do you need to bring a futon, after we talk about our futon purchase program? And the answer is no. We do, again, provide you with a desk chair in your room. Many students choose to bring a futon if they're interested, and they'll put it underneath the bed as a different place to sit and lounge and study throughout the day, or have a place for guests to sit as well. And so again, it's not required. And again, if you participate in our fundraiser, it is a purchase program. So it'll be placed into your room before you move in, but you are responsible to move it out at the end of the year because you now own it.
It's a good reminder. You know, one of the things that we want to talk with you all about is talking as a family. We know that you have lots of questions, and so feel free to toss some of those into the Q&A function. And as you all are preparing for your August arrival, one of the things that we would like you all to do is to talk through what we are framing as Hawk Talks. When your student is on campus, you will have these Hawk Talks with your RA one-on-one, likely over Zoom or Skype, to be able to talk through how your transition's going and get to know you. And so some of the questions that we encourage you all to ask one another as a family and discuss is, what are you most excited about? What are you most nervous about? You know, what do you anticipate it'll be like to share a room with someone? We understand that while many of our Hawkeyes have never shared a room, their families may have shared a room growing up. And so there's a great opportunity to learn and connect. We also think that your families would be a great resource to help you understand if you have any habits that it could be helpful to let your roommates know about. Perhaps you're a Hawkeye who needs 4 alarms to wake up in the morning, or you love to leave your laundry about. On the flip side, you might be one of our neater Hawkeyes and are very particular about your room setup. And so those are some things that it would be good to talk through right now before you start living with another person. It's good to let people know if you've got habits that could be helpful. You might enjoy a snack quite late at night, and that could be disruptive to a roommate. Or you always have a Saturday morning dance party, and that could be a really fun thing to involve your roommate in. Just some tips. Other conversation topics that we know that Hawkeyes may have one set of feelings about and family members might have another would be about relationships and dating. You know, how do you feel about guests in your room? Becky encouraged you to start thinking about that right now, but then also to consider, how do you feel about a significant other spending the night in your room? As a gentle reminder, we will be asking folks to limit their guests to just one person, but it is important to talk through, are you okay with having friends spend the night versus that significant other? You could have different things, and that is totally okay. It's just good that you talk to your roommate about it. Lastly, when it comes to roommate relationships, we know that each one of us brings our full culture and heritage with us to college. And so it could be helpful for you to think about, what are some of those cultural differences that you and your roommate might have? And what are those similarities that might help you to bridge your relationship with each other? Now, a few more items to discuss. We already mentioned, are you going to have a job on campus? But the most related question is going to be, how are you going to manage your time? And that's very important to start thinking about right now. It is good to talk through, what is that family budget for extra expenses? And are you able to charge things to your U-bill? And what charges are acceptable for you all as a family? It is helpful to be aware of what is the name and number of your renter's insurance, as we have stressed several times throughout the presentation, but also your medical insurance provider. For some of you, you may have coverage here in the Iowa City area, or you might not. And so it's a good time to learn about how to manage that. We have a great student health center that's available to all of our students, and so they will be an excellent resource for you. But if you have very particular health needs, it might be good to make sure that you're aware of how you would get that support here in Iowa City prior to your arrival, and that you have an absolute need for it. We want you to think about what your plans are for both fall and winter break. We know that sometimes students might have one idea about what they're going to do over the break periods, and their families may have a different idea. And so it's a great time today to talk about those expectations before November arrives. And then the last most important question we really want you all to start talking about is, how often will you connect as a family and through what means? You might be a family that likes to text a lot, and that would work for your relationship, or you might be a family that just needs to see each other face to face once in a while. And so you're going to schedule, a Tuesday taco night Zoom session. So that way you and your family members can connect about what's happening on campus and what's still happening back home. Now, I am going to put a link to all of these questions for you all to chat about in the chat feature today, because we think that it's a really helpful conversation starter for Hawkeyes and families as you all transition into August. We would like now for you to be able to ask us more of your questions. And so please use the Q&A function. As a gentle reminder, if you have a particularly sensitive question, you can always email us, and we'd be happy to work with you one-on-one.
So I'm going to jump in really quick to give Virginia a break. And so we did receive a question about what our common spaces will look like in our residence halls. And so our facilities team is currently going through all of our spaces to determine what could occupancy look like in our common spaces, such as floor lounges, multi-purpose rooms, our study areas within the residence halls, to ensure social distancing. So we'll be adjusting what furniture is available in these spaces, and how many people we can have at a time. And so there will be other options for students to go besides their own personal room, but we will be asking everyone to wear face coverings in all of our spaces and also follow social distancing guidelines. But that was a great question, so thank you for those who submitted it.
Now, it might also be a great idea to make sure that you've got a solid pair of earbuds or headphones coming with you in your packing list.
I agree.
I think we've all found those to be quite helpful these past few months.
It will also be part of the roommate agreement conversation as well, as what is our plan when we both have online classes and how will we navigate this as well?
That's a good one.
Virginia, do you want to jump in and talk about some pieces about if we learn about online learning after their contracts are binding?
Yes, I would be happy to talk about that. So as a gentle reminder, your housing contract would become binding on July 23rd. But if you were to find out afterwards that all of your classes will be held online and it would be easier for you to remain home or to live elsewhere, please work with us and we would help you update your housing contract depending on your needs. All you would need to do is email us at housing@uiowa.edu. Don't forget to always include your name and your student ID number. There are a lot of John Smiths running around campus, so we want to make sure we're talking to the correct John Smith about what that housing contract concern might be. And again, if you are totally online and going to be living at home, then we would release you from your housing contract.
A couple of reminders about our move-in plans. And so we do hope to have you all be able to sign up for your move-in time mid-late to late July, and that you will be able to sign up for the date that you need to move in, whether it's early move-in or traditional move-in days. And so all of that will be done online. You'll choose a date as well as a 1-hour time to move in. Something I also did not mention earlier is that we will be having a drop and go option. So if this works for your family as well, you'll have the opportunity to choose that time slot, which will be throughout the week, and you can come get your key, put your belongings in your room, return the key to us, and then you can come back to campus on Thursday, August 20th to begin staying. So this might be a great option for those of you that are more local, if you want to come in the evening and drop off your belongings and then be able to help us with social distancing by not living in your room again until Thursday.
You all are asking some great questions and folks are typing along those answers to you so you can follow and see them posted in the Q&A. I know that we have heard from a number of folks about what the student experience will be like on campus this fall. And if you have not watched it, I want to reference you all to the YouTube video of Sarah Hansen, our Vice President for Student Life, and Dr. Angie Reams, our Dean of Students, they presented to us yesterday and today about that student experience. And we know that the videos are available for you all to watch at your leisure. It's about a half hour, and they are all transcribed as well for you to follow along with captions that might be helpful to answer some questions that you have about, getting involved on campus or participating in clubs and activities. So I think it'd be helpful for us to put our contact information up available for you all. We are happy to continue to take questions through the Q&A feature and answer those live for you for just the next few minutes. But if there aren't questions, you're always welcome to email or call us. As a gentle reminder, we're in the midst of online room selection, so bear with us as it might take us a day to get back to you. We thank you for your patience with that. And we are so looking forward to you all joining us here on campus. As you are thinking about your final questions, I would like to make a recommendation to families. We know it's typically parents who are hanging out on these webinars with us right now, and that is to give yourself time right now in July to think about how you'd like to say goodbye in August. We know your entire family may not be able to come during move-in, especially because we're limiting guests to just 2 per student. And we know that each family dynamic is unique. And so what a meaningful goodbye might be best for your family could look different depending on who your Hawkeye is. You all might be a high five and a handshake, see you later kind of family, or you might want a drawn out goodbye where you go to lunch or go on a walk as a family after you've completed the move-in process. August is a busy time and it's full of exciting emotions, and it'll be here before you know it. And so we just encourage you to think about that way that would be most meaningful for you to convey your best wishes to your Hawkeye. And if you give yourself that time now, it'll make saying goodbye that much easier for them when August comes around. So thank you all so much for joining us in today. We're going to shut our cameras off, but we'll take a minute. We'll wait and see if there's any more questions. Otherwise, we'll have Brianne pop in and just give you a quick reminder